I came across this article, and even though it's a little old, Chuck Dixon revealed that his comics pitch for Captain America, being an anti-communist, was rejected by Marvel Comics. And of course it was. Marvel Comics hates America, and they hate the character of Captain America, which is obviously a conservative middle America archetype. They just can't do it. Recent issues of Captain America have just been absolutely crazy. J. Michael Straczynski, a rabid Hollywood leftist, has put him and taken him into some weird fairy war. It's just nonsensical for a character like that. And thankfully that run is over pretty quickly. J. Michael Straczynski really can't stay on any project for a long time at this juncture. He just loses his focus very, very rapidly in recent years. And he just never understands the comic medium or comic characters. He's done just a terrible job, and I'm glad to see it end. But I don't think they're going to be getting something better or somebody better to replace him on Captain America. At this point, they're just going to go back to the same well of the same weird leftists who don't understand the character, don't understand comics. And it's really, really sad, because when you get into what Chuck Dixon said, he'd be perfect for the job, or I'd be perfect for the job, or Mike Barron would be perfect for the job. I don't know where you guys can't just get conservatives to write conservative characters. But Marvel blacklists all conservatives, and it's really hurt their business because they just can't write. And this is where we're at today. They need conservatives, and they don't know it, and this is why the comic industry is spiraling. So hit the like and subscribe button as we go over this here and what Chuck Dixon actually wanted to do back in the day. Sounds really, really cool. I would love to have you guys here. Thank you for being here and making this channel a success this year. Of course, please grab my book too. This is the Emerald Array on Fund My Comic. This is a Space Marine graphic novel. It exemplifies patriotism, truth, justice, and the American way in space, of course, with a wonderful, wonderful story just about a Space Marine unit who's fighting against evil demonic alien monsters from outer space. It is a classic story. You're going to love this. If you love classic comics, if you like the Jack Kirby stuff from the 70s that he did on Captain America, you will absolutely enjoy this as well. Check this out. It is in the description below. And thank you guys for being here. It's a 66-page full graphic novel for you. The line art is done, and we are wrapping up colors on this over the next couple of weeks. Can't wait to get this out. The people who have done the early reading of this say that it is the thing you've been waiting for. This is the independent comic that is just going to be awesome for you. So grab it in the description below. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas, everybody, and thank you for giving us a great Christmas by being such great backers so far. 305, amazing. We are doing awesome, and I'm stoked. All right. So, prolific Batman writer and creator of Bane, Chuck Dixon, revealed that Marvel Comics rejected his pitch for an anti-communist Captain America. Now, this is something that Captain America, of course, always has attacked communists, and this has been something they love to ignore with the left. They always go, oh, punch a Nazi, he punched Hitler, right? Which, by the way, if you think about what the National Socialist Party of Germany is, socialism is a left-wing concept as well, so they're really telling on themselves at that point. But hey, commies are the next level of left-wings, and so since Captain America didn't like socialists of all stripes, you'd think that this would be a pretty easy sell for Chuck Dixon to write this character. Unfortunately, they don't want to do that. So him and Bane co-creator Graham Nolan would have been awesome, made a pitch on this. And so Chuck's revelation came in response to Vince Capley, who wrote and said, the original Captain America comics, Bucky, lived. He was shot, wounded, and written out of the book to add a female partner for Cap. Never did care for the rewrite of the Golden Age events of Captain America at Marvel in the 60s, 70s. Chuck Dixon responded, I like Captain America. He made a big impact on me when he suddenly popped up in the Avengers and announced, because everything in comic back then was unannounced until you got to the newsstand and saw the next issue. They didn't even hint at what was coming, a big secret kept by Marvel from comic book readers everywhere. I especially liked his short run in the 70s. Gil Kane and John Romita were on the book. They were awesome S.H.I.E.L.D.-based stories with Red Skull and stuff like that. Dixon then said how Marvel portrayed a 50s Captain America. He said, I've always been disappointed on how they treat 50s Cap. As you know, 50s Cap went from fighting Nazis to fighting commies. He made a pretty easy transition there, battling our former Soviet allies, keeping them out of the United States, crushing their conspiracies to end our democracy, that kind of thing. They're also written by These are also by John Romita, not written by, drawn by. Coincidentally, I like this kind of portrayal. Marvel stopped publishing superheroes a few years, brought back Cap and the Human Torch and Submariner, some terrific comics for a very short run. Their return to superheroes kind of failed with readers because at the time, crime and horror comics and romance comics ruled the day. So Marvel abandoned superhero plans till Stan resurrected them in the early 60s. Anyway, in this run, he's Cap, he's fighting commies. But when they returned in the 70s to the storyline to try to explain why there was a Cap in the 50s, even though Cap that we all knew, the rebooted Cap we knew was on ice literally after escaping Nazis and Bucky dying and all that kind of stuff. So where did this Captain America and the new Bucky suddenly come from? They wrote a story which this guy was a mouth-breathing right-wing caricature. Sort of a stand-in, an allegory for Joe McCarthy in the House of Un-American Activities. As usual, those stories were written without doing any actual research into the Communist Scare period, the Red Scare period, and in the 1950s, Cap was portrayed as a villain. I thought that was wrong. He then went on to provide a brief history lesson. As far as we know from the Venona papers, it was really wrong, because there were communists here in the United States trying to overthrow our government, seeding sedition. And Hollywood types and those people in academia, even people in our government who actually held the military rank, were not just sympathizers or informers, they were actual spies in the pay of the Kremlin. And all that really happened. So 50s Cap was right, as we know now from papers handed over from the fall of the USSR in the interest of transparency. The United States government was allowed to access, and the United States media, the whole world media, was allowed to access the KGB NKVD papers showing that many things that the people were told were just crazy conspiracy, looking for communists under rugs, were actually true. Imagine that. Feels a lot like today. All of our, quote, crazy conspiracies, Joe Biden having dementia, turns out it was all actually true as well. The media is such liars and they cover up everything. So this is the coolest part, guys. Graham Nolan and I, in the wake of the Venona papers, proposed a mini-series that would explore this period of Cap 2.0 in the 50s and actually redeem this character from the 70s portrayal. I think you can guess how far that pitch went. Now, Chuck Dixon is blacklisted from Marvel and DC Comics. They refused to hire him despite the fact that he's doing some of the best work he's ever done. Very, very crazy at this point, because this would have been a great story for Captain America. Like finding where all these papers came from, why there was a conspiracy out there, exactly what was happening with all the communists going on. And you can actually tie it into today. You can actually make a story today watching the communists trying to overthrow our government. Cap versus the globalists. Cap versus the Islamic Caliphate. Cap versus the fentanyl crisis at the border. This is the way that you do truth justice in the American way. It'd be very, very obvious. These are easy stories to tell. Hey, maybe I'll do it myself and just file the serial numbers off and make a patriotic character who can do this, because clearly Marvel Comics will not be doing this anytime in the near future. Every single time in recent years, they've just been doing the opposite of what Cap should have done. The J. Michael Straczynski stuff tried to lean into very weird stuff in the books. It didn't work. When Mark Waid came back to the title after the Trump presidency, he had him fighting against people at MAGA rallies. And of course, there was the infamous part where Captain America was turned into a Nazi himself and declared Hail Hydra because they wanted to show the American dream was dead, with Nick Spencer just trying to push this radical left agenda onto everything. They've blacklisted any conservative at Marvel Comics, and it's really harmed their brand in the last decade or so as they focused on identity politics over making these characters true to themselves. And that's why the comic industry is failing so hard. They haven't learned their lesson whatsoever. It's absolutely crazy. In fact, they do everything they can to try to get us blacklisted here, to try to get us deplatformed because they don't like us talking about the comics even. This is how awful Disney corporate is, and this is why we fight them at every turn. What a cool pitch by Chuck Dixon. What a cool history lesson. Loved reading this and love bringing it back to your attention because it needs to be said. Please do check out my book. If you like my thoughts on comics, you're going to love my Emerald Array. I am bringing things back to the way that they were back in the day, and this is something that you will absolutely enjoy if you love classic comics. Real heroes, real strong male leads, yes. The type of stuff that Marvel Comics won't publish anymore. Grab it, guys. Support our channel, support independent comics, and support The Real Difference. We're building things. We're going to make comics great again, and I appreciate you for being there. What do you think about this? Leave a comment down below and hit the like and subscribe button. Merry Christmas.